Hi guys, welcome back to the course. We're going to be taking a look into devices today. So I think a lot of things one of the biggest things that's front of mind for a lot of people these days is mobile. And we all know kind of the amount of search that's being done on a mobile device these days. It's more than likely that your customers are also on a mobile device. So with that in mind, we have in the Google Ads interface under the left hand side devices section. So it's probably likely that when you've set up your account, you've created it so that your ads appear across all devices. And all devices, you've got your desktop or computers, your mobile phones and your tablets. Now, what you need to be mindful of is that you do actually have the opportunity or the option to optimize towards a device. So although it might be relevant for you to show across all devices, you do actually have the choice to kind of negatively bid adjust against them or kind of opt out with a minus 100% adjustment, which I'll show you in a moment. Again, if you are in a situation where you have campaigns running with an automated bid strategy, it's likely that you're not really going to add a device bid adjustment because Google's audience signals, etc., should be working in order to achieve the goal that you've set on your automated bid strategy. So I guess one of the big questions is kind of around mobile increasing and, should you be putting more of your budget behind the mobile device? And the fact is that, yes, obviously Google has released on many occasions, talked about it many times, that the use of mobile device is significantly higher. It's all on the rise, and yes, it kind of outdoes a desktop device these days, and it's something that should actually be taken very seriously as a business. You need to be thinking about how your users are searching and how you're going to capture those users. So the first thing that I would say is that you really want to make sure that if you are appearing on a mobile device to your customers, so your ads are showing there, you want to make sure that your site is actually optimized for mobile. It's not going to bode well for you if you are driving traffic from a mobile device to your website that's not optimized. You're going to be penalized by Google, and users, they're not, in this day and age, people expect to have a good customer experience, a good user journey on their device, whichever device it is that they may use. So you're not going to see good performance from mobile specifically if you do not have an optimized mobile site. The other thing to think about is desktop, and I think a lot of the time you'll hear, or you'll even see in your own data, which of course I would recommend you analyze and understand your own personal data. I'm talking about the general themes and trends we tend to see these days, but a lot of the times you'll hear people saying, or you'll see in your own data, well, I get more search and traffic on a mobile device, but actually when it comes to a conversion, people still typically convert on a desktop or a computer. So in that case, the question might be more around, well, do I push more of my budget in desktop than mobile, or do I just only bid on desktop? And I think what you need to think about there is kind of how much budget do you have available for a start. Yes, if it's possible to max out your budget on a computer device and not really target mobile tablets at the time because they're seeing lower conversion rates, etc., then there might be an argument to be pushing more money into a desktop. And if your mobile site is not optimized, then definitely just I would recommend that you do just potentially send it to a desktop device. And I have seen in many a case where clients that I've worked with, they might have an e-commerce site, they're not really optimized from a mobile perspective, but they still have success with just running their activity across a desktop device. So you really need to understand how your customers perform and what your capabilities are from a business perspective. In regards to kind of adjustments, again, it's devices. I would say that obviously, as I mentioned at the start, you're not going to do that if you're running an automated bid strategy with Google, but you could do a minus 100% adjustment. And a minus 100% adjustment means that you would turn off a device. So let's just say, you do consider the fact that your site might not be 100% mobile optimized. You think you get better conversion etc. from a computer, it might be that you pop into your mobile section, into the adjustment, and you go to decrease and you say decrease it by 100%. So a £10 bid will now become zero. So you will now no longer show on a mobile device and you'll only show on computers and tablets. What I would say about this is that we really need to think about the user journey and how complex it is these days. It's much more sophisticated, it's complicated, and the buying decision isn't like a simple process anymore. It's quite a lengthy process, and there's a lot of different kind of funnels and journeys, I guess, involved with how people purchase now. And obviously user journeys and buying funnels, etc., is something we'll cover in a different section. But I think it is really important that we do kind of touch on that topic when we're talking about opting in and out of devices, simply because, you know, if you've got a user searching on a mobile, for example, you know, they're doing their research. Let's take addresses example. So again, I'm searching for what to wear on a night out. I'm on my mobile, I'm in bed, kind of just relaxing. I'm just having to think about what I might be looking for. I see a load of ads from different people, and then I click on a few different things and decide, okay, I've decided I'm going to go for a red dress. Next time I search, I am again on my mobile on the way to work, commuting to work. I search for red dresses, see a load of different ads, a lot of different brands. Okay, fine. So now when I get home that night, I'm in the purchase part. I'm in the kind of low end of the funnel. I'm ready to buy. So I now search for one of the brands that I saw earlier in the day. Now, if you have opted out of mobile, you won't even be in my thought process. You won't even be considered because you were never there when I was doing my original kind of research phase. You now pop up when I'm ready to buy. But if I search for a brand term of somebody that I've saw, unless you're doing a competitor campaign, it's unlikely that I'm going to see your ad at all. If I do, again, search for red dresses, the chances are, unless your ad has got something really engaging, really enticing to bring me back in and think, oh, I didn't see these guys earlier, maybe I'll have a look at those too, you might just completely miss out on the potential from that user for a purchase because you weren't there at all through the user journey. So there would be an argument against kind of, like I say, a minus 100% bid, kind of opting out of mobile and just going for desktop, because the chances are, you know, your pool of people who are kind of in the research phase, etc., you're going to miss, and you might not have the opportunity to then convert them when they are ready to buy. So it's just something to be considering when you are thinking about device optimizations. And what I would always say is obviously just analyze your data. You know, every campaign, every account is going to perform differently. There is obviously trends that you see across different industries, but it's always best to kind of look at what your own data is telling you. It might be that you've been running your account for a while. Let's say you've had a Google Ads account for the last year. You've had quite a lot of traffic kind of funneling through all your different devices, but you've seen that from the data, you know, mobile gets a lot of traffic, so does desktop, but desktop has a much better conversion rate, brings you about a much better ROAS, etc. Well, okay, let's do a test. If we opt out of mobile, how much can we kind of soak up from our desktop, and how much, you know, of an impact does that have overall? Do we start to see a decline in our overall sales because we aren't there over kind of the research journey, or have we kind of built enough visibility amongst quite a few customers over the last however many months that, you know, when people search on desktop, they're already searching for your brand anyway, or they already know who you are, so you can risk a desktop based strategy. You know, there's lots of different things that could come into play here. So like I say, just use your own data and optimize how you see fit. So I'll give you examples of, you know, how you can potentially bid differently. If you want to just go for a similar scenario that we talked about with the ad schedule, where it's it might say that performance is slightly better from a conversion point of view between the hours of, I don't know, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. on a desktop. If you say that, for example, the performance is better on a desktop just in general, it may be that you do a bid adjustment for that. So let's say conversion rate is 4% on a desktop or a computer, and your conversion rate on a mobile is only 1%. You might say, okay, I am willing to spend more money per click when somebody searches via a computer versus when someone searches for a mobile. And in this case, you'd apply a bid adjustment. So an increase. So let's say your current bid's £1 and you're willing to pay £1.60 every time somebody searches on a mobile. You can do a 60% bid adjustment. But again, just to kind of reiterate what I've already said, you really want to think about mobile bid adjustments, mainly if you're doing kind of manual CPC campaigns, bid strategies, rather than if you've got an automated bid strategy. I would hope that the automated bid strategy that you have in place with Google, it has your goals in place, it knows what it's working towards, so it might be a case that applying a bid adjustment would work against that, and you want to kind of leave Google to work with its audience signals and optimize for you. So give it a go, have a look into your data, understand how your customers are interacting with your business, and then kind of make some tests and see how it goes. And as always, keep learning.